Hey folks, today we're going to be talking about comparing different models or doing diffing to see what's changed in your Revit, IFC, or Navisworks files. So you've probably noticed that in ACC, when you compare different models between Revit, you get this really annoying message, too many results to show at once. So basically, there's a limitation you could say to the ACC platform where if you have over 1,000 results, it's just not really going to show you the results. So you can filter to smaller lists, but there's just no way in this case of seeing the modified items because there's over 1,000. So you're never going to get that list. You're not going to be able to do that analysis and understand what's changed in your model. If you remember in our last video on VIM Flex, what we did is we used the workflow for mesh analysis to determine where our biggest families were that were slowing down the model and creating useless geometry. So when we look at the geometry of the previous version of the model, we had around 23 million triangles, and a lot of it was just in useless chairs and things that didn't need the amount of detail. So I went into Revit for about 30 minutes and I remodeled around 6 or 7 families and just brought them in as more simplified families. So we went from 23 million to 18 million triangles, about 25 to 30% lower amount of triangles in our model. So everything's going to be much faster. Now in VIM Flex, what we can do is we can use the workflow for diffing. And here, all we need to do is point at 2 different VIM files and run the diffing. So once you've run the diffing process, you'll be able to see everything that was removed, added, or modified. And what's really nice about the modified geometry is that you see not only the amount of elements that have been modified, but also the number of parameters. So if we see here in the specialty equipment, there's been 287 modifications to the parameters. So we can go into an individual element here. And when we scroll, we're going to see it highlighted. So the element has changed IFC GUIDs, and it's also changed the work set because the name of the family has been changed. So internally, Revit has a work set for every family. That's the work set we're talking about here. And what it records is the name change of the family because now it's called dash fix, for example. Now, because we've simplified the geometry of the models and made it a lot lighter, what we can do is kind of compare what was before and after in terms of visuals. So even though we've shed millions and millions of triangles, we still see very clearly that it's a table. It's not going to cause any kind of problems for recognition or clash detection, and it's going to be much lighter. So eventually you can bring this model into a web viewer. Now, I did about 30 minutes of fixing the families. If we keep going for another hour, we're going to be able to make this model a lot snappier and keep track of all the changes through VIM Flex. So if you want to give this a try, go on vimaac.com. You're going to hit the download button. Up here, you're going to have the installer for VIM Flex. And right here, you can get your license until March 2nd. I hope this was helpful to you. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.